I paid off $23,000 in credit card debt in my 30s. Years later, I'm right back in it. If you're in your 30s and thinking a debt consolidation loan will fix everything, this is what no one warned you about. I'm Lindsey, known as the girl with the apron belly online, and I have a channel where I talk about plus size fashion, my unique body shape and dressing it, and all of the challenges that come with it. But I'm not talking about that today. I'm talking about my debt story. I didn't have a good example of financial literacy growing up. My mom was a low income, barely making ends meet single mother. She used credit cards for groceries, bills, everything. I knew something wasn't right, but I adopted her bad habit. Swipe now, figure it out later. When me and my husband hit our 30s, we decided we wanted to have a family. So we finally took a look at what we'd been spending. We owed $23,000 in credit card debt. Dinners out, shopping, 2 moves for my career, no budget, no plan, just swiping. And so my husband looked into getting us a debt consolidation loan. I paid on that for 36 months, and then finally it was paid off. But we treated it like a finish line and not a starting point. Our everyday habits never changed, and before you knew it, we were back in debt. We didn't have a budget. We were still using the credit cards for everything, and then we went through fertility treatments, which, if you know, is expensive and emotional. I took a side gig to help pay for that, but we were still in over our heads. The AC went out, appliances went out, and all of that went on a credit card, and the debt came right back. I started making TikToks at the start of the pandemic, just like every other millennial. I was making cringy millennial videos. And then I got pregnant and I started to talk about my pregnancy online. My first viral video was me sitting at the OBGYN for my first appointment, and I was kind of frustrated. My husband couldn't be there with me. I was sad. Later on, I started to show my full body on TikTok. That's when everything changed. And before you knew it, the girl with the apron belly was born. I started making serious money the next year. I saved every penny of the TikTok money unless I was putting it back into TikTok. I kept that money in a high interest savings account and not have that money go into our everyday checking account because I was so afraid lifestyle creep would come creeping in. I was paying bills one day and I noticed that on one of our credit cards, it had an interest rate of over 30%. And I was shocked. That credit card alone had over $12,000 on it. My savings for my TikTok money was only getting a 6% interest in the high interest savings account. So I sat down with my husband and I told him we have to make a change. We have to do something about this. And I agreed to use my TikTok money that I had saved. I took that money, I paid off our accounts, and it felt like such a relief. Now we still use credit. We use it strategically, we pay it off, and we try to make our money work for us. And we do that so that we can earn miles so that we can start to travel more. So here are 4 things that have helped. The first thing is to know where you stand. You need to know your credit score. The next thing is to list every single debt that you have, including the balance and the interest rate, the minimum payment, and start at the top. Start working your way down from the highest interest rate. Now, I had a couple of cards that had 0% interest rate, one for furniture, one for an AC unit, and one for appliances. The next thing is credit utilization. You need to know where you stand. 30% of credit utilization hurts your credit score. And then you need to know your debt to income ratio. None of this is super complicated. Anybody can learn it, but knowing where you stand helps. It'll help you choose whether to click add to cart and make that purchase. A debt consolidation loan can be helpful, but it is not the fix. You have to change the way that you're living in order to make a real change in your life. If any of this sounds familiar, family habits, false starts, we'll figure this out later mentality, debt in your 30s hits differently because you have things coming at you from all corners. I get it, I lived it, and I'm working on it.